I am very excited for today's video because I'm going to be ranking the palettes that I tried this year. I have 26 eyeshadow palettes that I will be ranking. If you are new, I hope you'll subscribe. I love makeup, especially eyeshadow palettes. Eyeshadow is my favorite part of makeup. And if you want to see individual videos about these, check out the eyeshadow palettes playlist and the makeup looks playlist because I have done videos or looks probably with a lot of these, not all of them, but there will be some videos there with those details if you are interested. Like I said, I have 26 palettes and all of these palettes are good palettes. None of them are bad. So I am ranking them in 3 different categories. The bottom one, which is called good, but I'm not blown away. So those I would say they're good palettes, not necessarily must-haves for me. If they disappeared, I wouldn't be that upset about it, but again, they are not bad palettes. The middle category is very good. I'm impressed. These are great palettes. Really nothing negative to say. They're really good palettes. And then the top tier, which is best of the best, I'm calling perfection. These palettes are perfect. I have nothing negative to say. I love the formula, the color story, all the shades, everything. So again, all the palettes are good. The bottom category doesn't mean they're bad palettes, but they're just not standing out to me like the other ones did. So I got a lot to talk about. Let's get started. Okay, let's start with the bottom category, which again, these are good palettes, but I'm just not blown away. I don't think they're bad, but I don't think that they are must-haves for me in my collection. There are 6 palettes in this category, no particular order. First up, the Nomad Air Travel palette. I really do like this. It's just, I don't know, it's just not blowing me away, especially like other Nomad palettes do. This is a very neutral color story, which I have these shades in my collection over and over again. And the formula is good. I really, really love the Nomad formula. By the way, I did get this one in PR. I will try to mention that along the way. This shade here is not my favorite. It just doesn't give as much shimmer as I would want on the lid. These 2 shimmers are really nice though, and the mattes are great. They blend out well. It is convenient for travel, it is, which I do appreciate that because I don't want to carry large palettes with me traveling. But I just think for me, it's definitely not a must-have. Up is the Alter Ego Coastal palette. I did get this one in PR as well. And again, I like this one. I just don't find myself reaching for it as much. The color story is pretty for sure. It's a good palette and the quality is there. I am definitely impressed with that. But I just think color story-wise, it's just not something that I am reaching for a whole lot. It is what it is. Okay, next up, the Beauty Bay Berries palette. Now, I bought several Beauty Bay palettes at the beginning of the year, and I'll talk about them in this video. This one is probably, it's monochromatic, and it's berries, but it's very pink toned. You do have these more like burgundy shades here. I don't know, I'm just not blown away by this palette. I think the Beauty Bay formula is very good. It's really more just this color story that I could take it or leave it, to be honest. It's pretty pink eyeshadow. I like mauves, but I'm not wearing like bright pinks all that often. So I don't know. This is another one. I could take it or leave it. This is the Beauty Bay Brights palette. And again, the formula is good. I like the Beauty Bay formula. This is what it says. It's a Brights palette, but also has this row of neutrals. And I don't know, I just, for some reason, if I'm doing a very colorful look, I tend to reach for other palettes, not this one. It's good, it's nice. It's also kind of just like a standard rainbow palette. I think there's not much creativity that happened in the creation of this palette. So I like it, I don't love it. Okay, next up, another Nomad palette. Now, I love Nomad Cosmetics, I really do. This is the Verona palette, and I just think the color story and also the way the packaging opens has made it not as practical for me. I do think the quality is beautiful. A lot of bright pinks though, which again, I don't wear those that often, and then a lot of darker shades on this side. It's a good palette, it is. I don't know. I get the whole story. It's a whole like love and death theme. I like it, I do, but again, I don't know, it's just I'm not blown away and I don't reach for it a lot. I think part of it is the way the packaging opens. This is just not very practical for me. I prefer their other palette packaging where it opens up like this. So the concept is great. It really, really is. The colors I don't reach for as much, and the packaging does also deter me. Okay, and then last up in this category is the Blend Bunny Forget Me Not palette. And I mentioned this in a disappointing products video. My issue with it is they also advertised it as a face palette, but these don't look very good on the face. They are standard eyeshadows, and I don't know, the highlighters just look like you put a chunky metallic eyeshadow on your cheekbones, which is what this is, which is fine for the eyes, but I don't know. It's again, I'm not wowed. I'm not really that impressed. It's good. It's good as eyeshadow, but I wish the pans were smaller because it doesn't work on my face. Okay, let's move on to the middle category, which I'm calling very good. I'm very impressed. These are great palettes. And I have 10 palettes in this one. So again, no particular order. Another alter ego palette, the Midsummer palette. I really, really like this one. And I know their palettes are dupe palettes. This one, like, I like it so much. I was tempted to put it in the perfection category, but because it's kind of a dupe palette, I decided against that. But I think the quality on this is stunning. It really, really is. The colors are shades that I tend to reach for more, and I just really, really like it. And then the other one from them that also is in this category is the Goddess palette, which is their dupe of the Gold palette, which I do have the Gold palette. And I can tell you this is just as good as the Gold palette. It's really, really impressive. The formula is amazing. The colors are great. I'm very impressed with that. I really am. Next up, the Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells. Wow, this is only $3.50, and I am impressed by how good the formula is. I love warm tones, so these are colors that I would reach for on a daily basis. All the shades are great. All the shades are pretty. It's very inexpensive, but the formula is good. It's not like chalky or unpigmented. It's just really good. Another palette that really impressed me is the ColourPop Deja Brew palette. I bought this kind of on a whim when I was at Target after I saw someone do a tutorial in a YouTube short. I don't even know who it was. I don't even think it's a channel that I ever watch. I just came across it and I was like, wow, that is such a pretty palette. I went to Target and they had it in stock, and it's a very standard color story, neutral, leaning warm, but it's really good. These metallics are stunning. I would have preferred to make this palette, if this could have been in the perfection category. It really could have. It was very close. I actually had it in the perfection pile for a little bit, and then I decided to move it into this category. And really the only reason is that this shade and this shade are nearly identical, and I would have just preferred if they had taken one of those out and then done another metallic, one that has a bit of a pink undertone, and this just would have been such a gorgeous and perfect neutral palette. So that's the only reason that one is not under perfection. Okay, next up, the Profusion Meadow palette. Very, very good. Also very affordable, only $5. The formula on this one is very nice, but again, I would not say that this formula is perfection, but the color story, I love the combination of the reds and the greens, and the two metallics are really, really nice. I could have maybe used one more metallic in this palette. It is a very matte heavy palette. I prefer mattes though, but I'd like maybe one more metallic. However, it's a really great palette. I'm very impressed. Okay, next up, this is another one I debated putting under perfection, and now looking at it, maybe I should have put it there. This is the Ace Beauté Aura palette. I've been very into this palette this year. The color story is beautiful, and it's just really, really nice. I love it. The purples and these like mustardy shades, the browns. I think maybe I don't wear purple eyeshadow that often. For me, if I'm wearing colorful eyeshadow, it's more likely to be green than anything else, probably least likely to be blue. So I think maybe because these are purples and I just don't wear them that much, but the Ace Beauté formula it's up there. It's really great. All right, another one from Alter Ego. This one I did get in PR also. This is the Mirage palette, and it's very good. I mean, what more can I say about the palettes in this category? They're not like perfect, perfect, perfect palettes, but they are lovely, well formulated, lovely colors. And the next one is also from Alter Ego, and this is their Sakura palette. And I've really enjoyed this one this year. Very lovely colors, formula's great. It's awesome. Okay, the next one in this category, I debated putting this in Perfection because it's Sydney Grace. My top two formulas are Sydney Grace and Natasha Denona. But the reason that the Raspberry Kiss palette ended up in this middle category is because the color story is a bit monochromatic and it's not a color story that I want to reach for on a daily basis. But I did have this in my Project Level Up and I used it a lot. And it's a really, really stunning palette, but I just think that it's a bit monochromatic. So maybe I'm not going to get as much use out of it as I would like. But Sydney Grace, amazing formula up there with Natasha Denona. Love it. Okay, and then last up for this category is the Beauty Bay Earthy palette. And this is their monochromatic green palette. And like I said, I love green eyeshadow. This is very well formulated. If you want a monochromatic but versatile green palette, this is definitely the palette I would choose. But the fact that it's monochromatic definitely keeps me from using it as often. However, it is very, very good. Okay, moving on to the perfection category. These palettes are perfect. I love them. The formula, the color stories, I have nothing negative to say. There are 10 palettes here. Let's get into it. The Little Ghost palette from Odin's Eye and Angie. I mean, look at the packaging, but what's on the inside is unreal. I love the colors. I love the formula. Odin's Eye has such beautiful metallics. And this has a lot of versatility, and I really appreciate that about this palette. You've got ways to make it more neutral. You've got ways to make it really colorful, and it's a gorgeous color story. Next up, Sydney Grace Unbreakable Bond. This one, they did send me this in PR, and wow, it is amazing. The colors, the formula, again, Sydney Grace, one of my favorite formulas. I mean, it's so pretty. I love it. I really do. It's mostly neutral. I don't know. You can just do beautiful smoky eyes with that palette. Okay, moving on. The What's Up Beauty Dragon Eye palette. Wow, has this blown me away. What's Up Beauty has a great formula. I think it's an underrated brand. And this palette has multiple multi-chromes, guys, and they are gorgeous. The mattes are also wonderful. But the shimmers, multi-chromes in here, I mean, it's amazing. I have shorts where I did swatch it, and then I also filmed a look with that one, and wow. I also, the packaging, like, yeah, perfection. It's perfection, okay? All right, next up, the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. Yes, I love this palette. I do. I mean, it is perfection. There's really nothing more I can say. The formula is absolutely amazing. The color story is beautiful. You can do very light neutral eyes. You can really smoke it out. I mean, neutrals are something I'm going to be wearing most often. So for me, this palette, I mean, if this disappeared, I would go and buy it immediately. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, next up, Fantasy Cosmetica, the Bard palette. I bought this at the beginning of the year, and wow, their formula is really good. High pigment, beautiful metallics. I would say it's kind of similar to the Sydney Grace formula. I would say these metallics are probably even more, they're more intense than the Sydney Grace. And they also have a lot of duochromes and multichromes. Also, their Druid palette made it into this category. Love the color story. Love some of the shifts in these eyeshadows. The mattes blend perfectly. Got nothing bad to say about it, guys. This category really is like perfect, amazing palettes. Okay, next up, the Nomad Royal Europe. If you want high pigment and you want some multi-chromes, check this out. This palette is amazing. They did send me this in PR. Wow. It's amazing. It's mostly matte. And then this whole row is multi-chromes. They look amazing on the eyes. I love the color story. You get a lot of versatility here. You've got these beautiful blues, purples. You've got some more neutrals. It's amazing. Amazing formula. And multi-chromes in a palette. If you buy just one multi-chrome from an indie brand, it tends to be a lot. So I think if you want palettes that have multi-chromes, you don't want to buy individual shadows, I highly recommend this one and the Dragon Eye palette from What's Up Beauty. Those are my top two recs for that. Okay, another Nomad palette, the Ghost Town USA. I love this palette. Also, packaging, like how amazing is that? But, you know, I'm really judging it for the formula and the color story. I have used this one a lot. It was in my project Level Up. And the shimmers in here have so much shine. Every time I was wearing this palette in a video, people were like, wow, your eyeshadow looks amazing. And I'm like, yeah, this palette is so pretty. This has a great matte formula and shimmer formula. Like this one here, amazing. This one is so pretty. I love you get a lot more cool tones in here. I mean, the theme is amazing. It took me a while. I did not even notice this until I had the palette for a while. Let me see if I can show you that it says help right here. How cute is that? That's like really funny and also very creepy. So they did a great job with this palette. It's perfect. Okay, two more to talk about. Xenon. You guys, when I got Xenon, I did not think that it would be in my top category of palettes at the end of the year. I really didn't. But the more I have used this, it is beautiful. I did do a full video on this palette. I know that for sure. And I did 2 looks. Wow. Wow and wow. When you look at it, you're like, wow, that's a very gray palette. But it actually has more range and it's so pretty. And some of these have this like frosty light blue undertone. A couple of them have a bit of a pink undertone. It's very unique to my collection. It really, really is. And I guess I have found that I like it a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest. So that's pretty awesome because, you know, it was expensive. I think I bought that full price. It was $69. And then last up is the palette that I am wearing, and it is Pat McGrath Divine Rose 1. Now, this is not a new palette by any means, but I bought it this year on major sale because that's what I like to do with my Pat McGrath palettes. I like to wait until she has a sale. And this has become one of my favorite Mothership palettes. I don't have all of the Motherships, but I'm like slowly buying them when there is a sale. And this one has really blown me away. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's very neutral, but it's not overly pink, but you have some of those mauvey undertones. And this shade here, which I have in the center of the lid, is just so pretty. I mean, wow, this may be my favorite Mothership now. I don't know. I mean, I really like my Mothership palettes. I do, but this one is gorgeous. So, woo, okay, that is it for this video. These are the 26 palettes that I tried this year. I forgot to mention that there were several palettes though that I did get this year that I just didn't get enough use on to review them. And so there's probably 10 palettes that I did try this year that I either bought or got in PR, but I've only used once or twice. So I didn't feel like I could review them in this video. So I'm going to have to do another video on that at some point after I test them out. There are still palettes in my collection that I have not yet used. I bought the Corderosa Black Friday, still haven't used it. So I know. Terrible. But that's what happens when you have a large palette collection. But that is it for this video. I hope you will subscribe if you have not already. Thank you for watching Geekmas. I hope you liked this video. Have a great day.